Students, myself Dr. Brijesh Shankarrao Deshmukh, welcome you all in our today's session. Today, we are going to learn 4.1 History of Novel. The very lesson has been included into your syllabus of 12th standard. So, let's check out the lesson in detail. So, let's start the session. History of Novel. The 18th century has gifted English literature two entirely new forms, which are without any traces in the ancient classical heritage. One of those was the periodical essay, and the other was novel. Let me put forth the meaning of periodical essays. A periodical essay is a type of writing that is used on a regular basis as a part of series in the edition such as journals, magazines, newspapers or comic books. The periodical essay appeared in the early 17th century and reached its highest popularity in the middle of the 18th century. Now, the meaning of novel. A novel is relatively long narrative fiction which describes intimate human experience or experiences normally in a prose form. And other definition is a novel narrates a story, embellishing it with more details of time, place, nature, people, and their minds, their guests, their gestures, and activities. Simply speaking, novel shows the mirror to the society, or it covers day-to-day incidents of our social life. The writers or the authors, they jot down the ideas those they might have experienced in their personal life, or they might have observed in their or around them. So novel is a detailed sketch of the society, and it covers the detailed description of human behavior. Many of the time even we feel while reading a novel or while watching a film that okay, the incident might have happened with us, or we might have come across to the incident. For example, I am taking an example of a movie, Three Idiots. The movie is based on Chetan Bhagat's novel Five Point Someone. There are number of the differences in an adaptation of the film, but we can say that near about 40% similarities are there as concern the theme. We have seen the way the parents are behind their children about the studies, they are conscious about their future, and they are making their children to aware with the future circumstances before the time. So this experience might have made you to feel that you also going through or you had gone through the same experience. So that's what the novel is. It shows the mirror, or in a more simple way we can say that literature is the mirror of society. Literature covers novel, poetry, prose fiction, short stories, essays, journals, everything. So this material novel or the written material need to be developed with a thought. So that's what helps one or the writer to achieve the popularity. Now let's check it out the details of or the basics of novel. The present English word novel is derived from Italian word novella. Novella means new, that one need to develop their thoughts by themselves. One should pen down the experiences without plagiarism. So let's check it out the difference between the word novel and novella. Novel, it is the longest description. It has, or it can be with many characters, many plots, and the novel comes with number of the chapters, where novella is opposite to the explanation of novel. Novella is smaller than novel, with less characters, with single plot, or we can say that it may have a simple plot along with less chapters. So that is novel. Now, must remember that the novel as a literary genre has a history of about 2000 years. It has attracted Greek and romances. We can find the traces of world before Christ era in 14th and 15th century. Virgil's eclogues was, or it is in the form of half poetry and prose, though it seems to be the mixture of prose and poetry, but it comes in the form of novel. In 14th century, Geoffrey Chaucer has written the Canterbury Tales. Even it has the same form of the poetic and the prose. It is again comes under the fact of novel. Geoffrey Chaucer is a well-known, renowned writer. He has earned the title of Father of English Literature. Now let's check it out. The next one, in 15th century, Thomas Miller's Morte d'Arthur is also found in the same form as Virgil and Geoffrey Chaucer's writing contains. Check this out. Here in front of you, I have covered up the pictures of the world's first novel and the eminent work. The first European novel also present on the screen. The Tale of Genji. The Tale of Genji, it is the world's first novel written by a Japanese writer. A lady has written the first novel of the world. Her name is Murasaki Shikibu. The novel is written in the year 110 or 1010. Then the next one is written by Spanish writer Miguel de Cervantes. Miguel de Cervantes. It is an European first novel. The title of the novel is Don Quixote. The title of the novel in Spanish, it is Don Quixote. Miguel de Cervantes has published his work into two parts. The first part he has published into 1605 and the second part he published it into 1615. Next, 18th century has developed new literature which covers or which puts forth or put down the lights on spirit of realism as denial of romantic features, enthusiasm, passion and imagination. As we have just now discussed the world's first novel, The Tale of Genji, and the first European novel, Don Quixote, in our Indian tradition or in Indian literature, in 18th century, Baba Padmanji has written the first Marathi novel in English. He has written Yamuna Prayag in 1856. After that, in 18th century, the literature started introducing the features as enthusiasm, passion, imagination, science fiction, epistolary, or we can say that the fiction which is totally based on fact and files or an imaginary started coming in forth. After 1740, the novel originated as the literary form in England. After 1740, novel originated as the literary form of England. In 1760, the Industrial Revolution took place in between England, America and Europe, which introduces the trade and commerce. It became the phenomenon as the revolution or the Industrial Revolution introduces newspaper, magazines, novels, and it started into a peak. Middle class people, they got attracted towards the depiction shown in novel. For example, Charles Dickens's David Copperfield made the readers to see the reality of society, sufferings of children, sufferings of common people, or just like about the picture of society that has been described in Charles Dickens's novel The David Copperfield. Check this out. The realistic picture of everyday life and problems of common people, they started coming in the form of novels. The novel appears to have been designed for both to voice the aspirations of the middle class and the lower class and meet their longings. Absolutely. Novel is not specifically specified for any class. It is for the one who is having the hunger, who is having the thirst of reading. And it always helps us to survive or to make a path from all the oddities. It always guides us. It always shows, it always helps us to understand how the people and the society is around us. So, in an earlier section or in earlier era, the novel, the prose, poetry, it was just related to the particular class. Specifically, it was related to the aristocratic people, where they used to study the poetry forms, or they used to come up with the detailed understanding with the masters, which wasn't affordable for the middle class people. But novel made it possible for everyone, and the Industrial Revolution made the printing cheap. Due to Industrial Revolution, the printing became easy and a novel started coming up into the form of many, which made people to go across and to read it. If they come across to the oddities, difficulties, so they can check out the meaning, they can discuss the meaning with their colleagues, or they can take the help of some other dictionaries also to find out what is the meaning of or what is the implied meaning of the session or the written work. So, novel started earning its popularity. Here are the few examples in front of you. The Pilgrim's Progress, which is written by John Bunyan, then Abra Ben's Orinoco, Robinson Crusoe's Daniel Defoe, Jonathan Swift's Gulliver's Travel are the most eminent work. Many of them has been transformed into the film also. They came forth in 18th century. Now, the tradition was followed and enriched by even in 19th century novelists also. As as Charles Dickens and all came in forth. For a second, I am taking you back to the 18th century. In 18th century, Samuel Richardson's Pamela, Virtue Rewarded and Clarissa has earned a good fame. In Pamela, female chastity has been shown where the masters they wanted to steal the female chastity, and she has shown to protect herself. As the next one is Henry Fielding's Joseph Andrews, Tom Jones' Pamela are well popular. In Pamela of Richardson's, we can get the theme, or the theme of the novel is female chastity, where Joseph Andrews' Pamela covers the theme of male chastity, where the female owner she tries to make a relation with her maid or her servant, a man. In Pamela, we can see a female tried to, or she had tried her best to protect herself, and in Joseph Andrews' Pamela, a man has tried or struggled to protect his chastity. The next writer here, Lawrence Sterne, has written or contributed the life and opinions of Tristram Shandy and Gentleman. And the other most renowned person or the writer is Tobias Smollett. Tobias Smollett's The Adventure of Peregrine Pickle is the most popular novel. Now, let's go ahead in 19th century. Charles Dickens, Walter Scott, Nathaniel Hawthorne, Horace Walpole, Thomas Hardy, Wilkie Collins, H.G. Wells, they has made the well named and mesmerized the readers with their eminent masterpieces. Check out the work of these renowned authors whose names won't die ever. Charles Dickens has contributed A Christmas Carol in 1843, Oliver Twist in 1838. Walter Scott, he has written Ivanhoe in 1819 and The Antiquary in 1816. Nathaniel Hawthorne, his greatest work, The Scarlet Letter, he has published it or wrote it into 1850. It is based on The Adultery. The House of the Seven Gables and he has published The House of Seven Gables in 1851. Horace Walpole has written The Castle of Otranto in 1764 and The Mysterious Mother in 1791. H.G. Wells, The Time Machine, 1895. The Wonderful Visit, published in 1895, and The Invisible Man, which is written in 1897. We can get to see that The Invisible Man has been transformed into movie also. Also The Scarlet Letter, even The House of Seven Gables. Number of them has been transformed into the movie. Let's check it out. The next renowned author or the writer of novel, Wilkie Collins, has published The Woman in White in 1859 and The Moonster in 1868. Thomas Hardy's Tis of the D'Urberville, 1891. Far from the Madding Crowd, 1864. Jude the Obscure, 1895. The Mayor of Casterbridge, which is published in 1886, and The Return of the Native, 1878. Let me introduce you a similarity with Thomas Hardy's work. In our Indian literature, we have the well-renowned name who has imaginarily created a land. He has developed a series of work that is none other than R.K. Narayan. Malgudi Days. Remember? The Malgudi Days is totally a fiction, imaginary write up. Same Thomas Hardy's work is also imaginary write up. But personally speaking, I have read all the novels of Thomas Hardy, Tess of the D'Urberville, Far from the Madding Crowd. While reading all those novels, you may feel that, yes, this is the fact. You can see the struggle of people, how people are fighting for their bread, butter, for politics. What is the loving, cruel face of the society? Everything has been inculcated by Thomas Hardy. So, must check out these novels in your leisure time. Next, E.M. Forster. He has written A Passage to India in 1924. Howard Ent, that is in 1910. James Joyce has portrayed a portrait of the artist as a young man in 1916 and Ulysses in 1922. They became the greatest masterpieces of the time. Joseph Conrad's Victory in 1922. Heart of Darkness has been published in 1902. Henry James, The Portrait of the Lady, 1881, and The Golden Bowl, published in 1904. Graham Greene, The End of the Affair, came in 1951, and The Power and the Glory in 1940. George Orwell's Animal Farm came in 1945, and he has written a novel named 1984, which was published in 1948. Yes, 1984 is the name of the novel which was published in 1948. And personally, I'll advise to my all the listeners must go and read Animal Farms. The novel is based on the hypocrisy of politics and how the people are generally behaving during the elections and what are their faces before and afterwards. So, one must read George Orwell's Animal Farm. Next to in 20th century, the 20th century is marked by modernization, where the style, facts, different techniques of writing has started coming into the fore. That readers started developing more and more interest in reading of novels, where D.H. Lawrence, William Golding, and Anthony Burgess has made fame and name. Lawrence, The Rainbow and Sons of Lovers are the masterpieces. They deals with stream of consciousness. They have widened the circumferences of novels. Also, William Golding's Lord of the Flies, The Inheritors, and the Anthony Burgess Earthly Powers, A Clockwork Orange are also well-known, renowned works. Lord of the Flies, The Inheritance, The Early Powers. These movies, these novels has been transformed into the films. Later, we are having immigrant novelists also, as Salman Rushdie, the Indian-born British novelist. He has earned the fame with the remarkable work as Midnight's Children, Shame, and the Satanic Verse. Also, V.S. Naipaul, Trinidad and Tobago-born British writer, has introduces or has contributed by writing the famous work A Bend in the River and The Mimic Man and Away in the World. Later, Kozu Ishiguro, a Japanese-born British novelist, has written The Remnants of the Day, Never Let Me Go, The Unconsoled, an artist of the floating world. So, in today's session, we have checked out the basics of novel, the epistolary work, the periodical work or the periodical essay, the detailed concept of novel, novella, and the contribution of the male writers. Let me give you a short फीडबैक और द रिवीजन ऑफ आर टुडेज सेशन. 18th सेंचुरी में नॉवेल या इंग्लिश लिटरेचर ने 2 फॉर्म्स इंट्रोड्यूस किए. पहला फॉर्म था पीरियोडिकल एसे एंड द सेकेंड वन इज़ नॉवेल. पीरियोडिकल एसे में हमने देखा कि इट इज़ द कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ जर्नल्स, मैगजीन्स, न्यूज़पेपर्स एंड सो ऑन. नॉवेल अ डिटेल पिक्चर ऑफ सोसाइटी और द ह्यूमन एक्सपीरियंस और एक्सपीरियंसेस. उसके बाद हमने डिफरेंस देखा नॉवेल और नॉवेला के बीच में. नॉवेल अ लॉन्ग नरेटिव फिक्शन with number of the characters, plots and the chapters, where नॉवेला क्या होता है कि नॉवेला में लिमिटेड प्लॉट होते हैं, लिमिटेड चैप्टर्स होते हैं, लिमिटेड कैरेक्टर्स होते हैं एंड इट इज़ स्मॉल. ये छोटा होता है नॉवेल के कंपैरिजन में. उसके बाद हमने द बिगिनिंग देखी. नॉवेल का 2000 साल पुराना इतिहास है. उस इतिहास को हमने देखा कि ग्रीक रोमन्स से ये किस तरीके से डेवलप हुआ. 14th-15th सेंचुरी में हमारे सामने एमिनेंट राइटर्स आए, वर्जिल्स, जॉफ्री चॉसर. उसके बाद हमारे सामने रिवोल्यूशन आए, इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन जो 1760 में हुआ. उससे पहले 1740 में इंग्लैंड ने नॉवेल को अच्छी खासी पॉपुलैरिटी दे दी या लोगों ने उसको सराहना शुरू कर दिया. 1760 में जब इंडस्ट्रियल रिवोल्यूशन इंग्लैंड, अमेरिका और यूरोप में आया, उसके बाद से और ट्रेड और कॉमर्स की वजह से यहाँ पे नॉवेल के प्रिंटिंग्स या ये जो पब्लिकेशन था वो अच्छे खासे पैमाने में बढ़ा. लोगों ने इसको सराहा था, इसलिए इसकी पसंद और ज़्यादा बढ़ी. और ऑन टॉप ऑफ इट राइटर्स जो है चार्ल्स डिकिंसन है हमारे सामने, या जो वर्ल्ड्स फर्स्ट नॉवेल जो था गिंजी, टेल ऑफ गिंजी, या यूरोपियन नॉवेल डॉन क्विहोते, इंडियन और मराठी फर्स्ट नॉवेल बाबा पद्मजी ने लिखा था यमुना प्रयाग. ये सारे हमने यहाँ पे आज के सेशन में लर्न किए. अलॉन्ग विद दैट हमने 17th सेंचुरी से लेकर 20th सेंचुरी तक का जर्नी आज तय किया, जहाँ पे हमने चार्ल्स डिकिंसन से लेके काजुओ, जापानीज बॉर्न ब्रिटिश नॉवेलिस्ट, इन तक की इन्फॉर्मेशन आज के लेक्चर में हमने देखी या आज के फर्स्ट पार्ट में देखी. अब हम नेक्स्ट सेशन में द वर्क हिस्ट्री ऑफ नॉवेल इज़ नॉट जस्ट रिलेटेड टू मेल चेस्टिटी, ऑल्सो द women have contributed in the same way the way men did. So I'm taking your leave for today's session and I'm expecting that you must comment, you must subscribe the channel, or you must like it if you want so. Okay, so thank you, take care, bye bye.